All right, so want to show you the examples of what we could be doing for this ring project. Now, again, you can make this as realistic or you can make this as costume jewelry ridiculous as you like. Whatever direction you want to go, cool. The goal for this project is I'd like to print these. Excuse me. I'd like to be able to print these using the resin printers, which we're going to have to figure out, but we'll talk about later because they're obviously not in this room. But the idea there is they have significant higher fidelity than the filament printers are capable of, but they're not always as strong. So again, the end goal of printing these, it's not going to be like a ready-to-go kind of jewelry ring or something like that. You could totally wear it, but you definitely got to be a little careful with it. But the requirements are it has to have some sort of a faceted jewel set on top of it, using some sort of a loose idea of a setting, so these little claw things around it. I'm going to show you a variety of different ways to create those. And then some sort of a ring base. Now, again, ring is up to you. It could be a ring. It could be a bracelet. It could be sunglasses. It could be a crown. It could be knuckles. I don't care. Whatever. The idea there is you are still using the pipe, sweep, or loft tool to create this. So as far as the jewel goes, there's a variety of ways we can make this. Just to give you a quick idea of how we're making the other versions, these all use a basic set of tools in that the pipe, sweep, and loft tool are all combinations of using a path. Now, in this case, a path is literally just a circle, a sketch circle based around the dimension of whatever you're planning on placing around it. So the pipe tool cannot be a singular pipe, as in there is a basic tool that will create with a pipe. Where did I just go? The pipe tool, as it says, it creates a solid pipe that goes around a path. And if your path happens to be a circle, well, it's going to be a circle too. Basically, it can create like a donut shape. You can augment the size and shape of this in that it could be round. It could be much wider, donut ring style. It could be square. It could be triangular, which is used for different things. Or even if it's incomplete, oops, where are you? Come on, buddy. So let's go to, say, like 0.5. It could even be hollow, which isn't overly important right now, but it's totally a thing you can do. The hollow didn't work because it's too thin. There you go. So you can even make this into, like, I don't know, make it a macaroni ring. More power to you. But the idea here is that you can augment it. From there, if you wanted to use the pipe tool, you could make multiples and copy, and make a whole bunch of them, join them together, and have like a woven ring style. That could certainly work. Other options we have, activate the whole project here. Using the pipe tool is that one. You could use the sweep tool. Oops. Sorry, I have a whole bunch of other things shown on this one. The sweep tool takes your own profile and wraps it around that sketch. Now, the cool thing with the sweep tool is you can augment that, meaning in this one, let me go to the edit feature. The path I have is just this oval with a notch cut into it. But the cool thing with the sweep is it takes that profile and sweeps it along a path. But you can also twist that. So let's say, as long as since it's a ring, it has to come back in multiples of 360. So let's say, not 3 plus 60, but 360. This is a cool way of creating something like bracelets. So this makes a single pass, or 720. You can start getting some really interesting twisted forms here. 1080. And you can start getting some really interesting shapes and designs by just taking your sketch along a circular path and twisting that sketch. You can create some pretty interesting features. Let that save. So that's there. And it's going to break my computer doing that. All right, cool. Other version is using a loft. And the loft Let me just go back to here. You are using 2 or more sketches, which in this case is this rounded out rectangle and a small oval, and combining between them, it transitions from one to the other. And in this case, then we just mirror that to make a ring. Whoops, not what I meant to hit. Mirror it, and now you have 2 sides. So that's how you can create more of the differently shapen ring, that sort. Now, obviously, we're going to keep adding stuff to this in that, we can add like settings and all that kind of fun stuff to create places for your rings, all of that. And ultimately, oops, getting confused here. Ultimately, you will end up with some sort of a ring with appearances placed on there with fancy, glistening facets. Again, this can be as realistic as you want, or this can be as ridiculous as you want. This is your project. The requirements are simply that it has to be some sort of a wearable, jewelry-based kind of thing, like a ring, like a bracelet. I've had people make earrings. That's fine too. Although unless you're making something larger, like hoop-based or something like that, most like any kind of chain or anything like that is just gonna be way too small and too difficult, or sorry, too delicate rather. So I would stick to more of like something more of like, ring based or something to that effect. But that part is open-ended to you, and it has to have your jewel must be connected somehow with some sort of setting, some sort of connection point. It can't just be plopped on there and said, yep, that's connected. As far as jewels, we have our basic ones, which have some multi-facets. You can also, by simply altering the number of sides it has, as well as the number of facets, you can create some really interesting different faceted forms. The basic one is as long as it's an even number or divisible by a whole number, like so 5, 10, 15, those are more easily divisible. If your number of facets are half of that, so if it's 10 and you have 5 facets, or if you have 8 and you have 4 facets, you will end up with more of this open-ended facet one. If you have more sides, like an even number, and it has the same number of facets, so if you have 10 sides and 10 facets, you end up with a much more, you end up with more facets. You can even cut this in half after the fact. So as long as you have a way to bisect this, and you could then stretch this out into a oval jewel. So all that was taking the jewel, cutting it in half, moving the 2 sides apart, and then doing extrude to join the 2 back together. That's it. Exact same thing. What's that? What's that? No, you're making your own. Absolutely. So however you want to make this, you can make it like a big old pointy diamond. It can be like a flat oval thing like that, or it can be a flat jewel, whatever. Totally up to you. So cool. How the heck do we go about all this mess? So if you're going to follow along, start a new project. Let's save. I usually start mine with with 00, just so it starts at the top. You do you. Example in class jewels. Oh, apparently it's all in caps. All right, so we're going to start with a jewel today, because that might be the more difficult thing to figure out, and then you can figure out what you'd like to model between classes. So first things first, start a new sketch after you've saved. Starting flat down. Now I'm definitely going to tell you, start and work right in the center, right on the center axis. Even if you're starting like above and below, but use the origin point as your building point. If you don't, everything's going to get all kinds of wonky, misaligned, and all that. Excuse me. Also, while we're doing this, I want to show you on your sketch palette toolbox at the very bottom where it says 3D sketch, uncheck that if you have it checked currently. That's a way you can really get misaligned with this project, because we're going to be working in multiple dimensions. Ooh, spacey. But let's keep it simple for this part. I'm going to go to Create. We're going to go to Polygon. Doesn't matter if you choose inscribed or circumscribed. All it means is the amount of sides that are created is based on a circle. It means if you're putting the facets on the outside of the circle or the inside of the circle. Don't worry about the edge polygon right now. So we'll just go with circumscribed. Why not? Start in the center. Drag outward. Do not press enter yet, because you cannot alter the number of sides of your polygon once you complete it. If you do, all right, you just got to start a new one. It doesn't really matter. But you can change the dimensions still. So using the tab tool, we're going to cycle back and forth. But for now, all right, 50 millimeters. That's, pretty good size. So let's keep it at 50. I'm going to press tab so it selects my number of sides. It goes to the other. Like I said, let's either keep it in multiples of 5 or in even numbers. 6 is a bit little. Let's go to 10. Now, as you have it here, make sure that your cursor is on one of the major axes, meaning it could be on the X or the Y, but it makes it a lot more difficult, or at least slightly more tedious, if it's somewhere in between. So make sure your cursor selects on one of the two major axes, red X or green Y. Doesn't matter which. Okay, that's it. You've made your polygon. It has facets. Mine has 10 sides. You make 300 if you want. Don't go that high. That's way too many. And that's it. That's where we're starting from. Polygon. Too many sides. We're good. Finish sketch. Now we're going to create this using 3 different extrudes going different directions. Going to use extrude the first one and just go up like 1 millimeter. That's it. 1 millimeter, one single extrude. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're going 1 or 2 directions. One direction, perfectly fine. Cool. I'm going to repeat that extrude. I'm going to select the face that I just made. Going to go up however much you want. Let's say 15 just to make it so. Now, one of the standard things in a lot of jewel cutting for jewelry making is not just because it's the answer to life, the universe, and everything, but a standard angle is 42 degrees. So I'm going to go on your extrude. We haven't played with this much, but you can taper an extrude so it goes out or in. So change that to negative 42. You don't, oh, not 420, negative 42. You don't have to go directly to 42. This is just a standard in jewel cutting. That's all. Okay, cool. So I'm on my second extrude there. They are joining together. Make sure they join together. The bottom tool there, join. Main thing you want to avoid, don't let your extrude, if you're tapering, do not go all the way till it makes a single point. Make sure you still have a flat spot on there. Okay. Orbit under, and I'm going to do my third extrude. Select the face that I just made. Drag downward. Negative 42. However far you want to go, cool. If you want to drag it much further, just don't go all the way to a point. Just don't go all the way to the point. Make sure you have a flat spot. That's it. There's my basic jewel. But wait, there's more. So I'm going to pause for a second, make sure everybody's got that, and I'll proceed. All right, so we have our jewel with the equal number of sides because it's however extruded. This one has 10 sides. So the next step is we're going to add facets. And we're going to use that using construction planes and cutting faces. You take that how you want. So we're going to go to construct, and you're going to go to plane through 3 points. All right. So zooming in, just so you can see what I'm looking at, we're going to go select 2 points on the top, 1 point in the middle. But, so I'm going to select 1, skip 1, then select the second one on top. So you have 2 on top with a gap in the middle. Now that spot where there was a gap, I'm going to go down to the top half of the middle. So if I'm looking at this, I have my jewel, the facet, that flat section, and then the facet down. So my selections are going to be only the top and the top middle section. So I have 1, 2, and then the third is right there. So you should get a triangle going through the corner like this. Or rather, you have a flat going through and it creates a triangle. Hit OK. And now I'm going to go to split body. I know I said split face. I got it mixed up. It's under modify, split body. You're going to select the jewel, and then you're going to select the plane you just created. You can uncheck that extend thing, but see how it all turns red? I'm going to hit OK. And now when I go to bodies, I have my little jewel chunk and now my jewel. So I can hide the little chunk. I'm going to pause there. Okay, so we hid the little bit, and now you're going to, you don't have to repeat that option. You just had to do it once for the top. Now what I'm going to do, and if you want, you could hide that construction plane. I'm going to go to create circle pattern. And I'm going to select by faces or really by features. And I'm going to select the face that I just created. Create circle pattern. Now what I'm going to spin around is my axis, is my origin axis, the Z axis. And change the number to however many faces you have. So if this was 10, I'll have a whole bunch. But if it's something that can be evenly divided, I can dial it back to half of that. It's up to you. I'll show you both. So mine's a 10-sided jewel. If I use 5 as my number, and of course it made all of these extras. It wasn't supposed to do that. Oops. So I have 5 sides. Or let me go back and repeat that and change that instead. Well, apparently faces is the way to go with that. Dang it, it keeps reversing. And instead of half of my number, I'm going to select the entire number that I have, which is mine's 10-sided. So I'm going to use 10 copies. Ugh. And now I end up with a much fancier version. All right, so you're just using the circle pattern. Don't use features. That was my mistake. It's all right. That was my mistake. You'll get the same result. I just ended up with a whole bunch of bodies that I didn't need. Instead, use by selection by face. Select the one you just made by using the split body. Select that face and then type in the same number of faces you have. So if it's a 10-sided polygon, use 10. You can divide if it can be divided evenly. So if you made it by 8, you can type in 4 and you'll get a simpler version, or the whole number, you get a fancier version. That's the only difference. And there you go. So you got a fancy top on that. I'm going to pause there and check. So now you're just going to do it for the bottom. Orbit underneath, do the exact same thing. Construction plane, plane through 3 points, 2 points on the bottom, 1 point in the middle. You make your little triangle, or it ends up being a triangle going through the plane. Select OK. Split body. Select the body. My splitting tool is the construction plane I just created. Choppy choppy. Hide the little chunk. Hide my plane. Circle pattern to repeat the face you just made. Not features, faces. That was my mistake. Select the triangle I just made. Axis is the one that everything is revolving around. In my case, it's Z-axis. And make sure you have the same number. So again, mine is 10. So I'm going to go 10. Fancier on the bottom. There you go. So that's how to make a fancy jewel. Doing the exact same thing on the bottom. So if it's just taller than it is on the top, that's how you end up with just slightly different faces. That's all. So the last step is, if you want to do this, you don't have to. It doesn't have to come to a point. But if you did want your jewel to come to a point, do one more extrude at the very bottom with again, keeping the same taper. So if I'm using -42, I'm going to keep using -42. and just drag it down until it makes a point. That's up to you. It does not have to come to a point. It's just extending that last flat face. And since we're making it fancy jewel, let's throw an appearance on there of, let's see here. What do we have for glass? Yeah, it's going to be costume jewelry. Smooth. We'll do fancy green. Boop. There you go. So now it's a sort of kind of emerald. Wait, why'd you get glass? Oh, I see. And there you go. So again, it does not have to come to a point. It's totally up to you. But this is just experimenting. This is just showing you how to make a faceted jewel using this stuff. And when we make your full model, I'm also going to show you that you can, in fact, import this jewel into the ring, or you can just build the ring built right around this. So it's up to you, but that's how to create a fancy faceted jewel using the Polygon tool and a bunch of extrudes and face cutting or body cutting, whichever sounds weirder. All right.